All right, hey everybody, TG here. Let's see, I'm not getting any audio. Let me know if you guys have audio out on the interwebs, the YouTube, Facebook, X, if you guys want to leave a comment there. But let me refresh one more time here in the Moxie room just to make sure we get this going. And let's see, all right, there we go. We should have audio now in the Moxie room. Sometimes you just got to refresh things, don't you? Okay, so we have had a pretty good move in the market this morning. Yeah, thank you, Mirza. Pretty good move. Very happy about this. It was a combination of things. So those of you, we already had our morning session in the Moxie room. So those of you out on YouTube, Facebook, X, you're going to be getting caught up here of what we're looking at. Basically, the Moxie patterns that I teach and that we work with inside of the room are totally playing out right now. And then to add to it, the patterns are perfectly lining up with all of the news that keeps coming out. So whether it's good news or bad news, we've been getting both, because even last week, people were talking about the bad news, which was Wednesday when Jerome Powell came out and gave a very pessimistic, very morose outlook on the economy and the future and stuff like that, and the market went down. Well, we had already shorted the market from up here the day before, and then we cashed in at the bottom of the move Wednesday afternoon, just before the close. I think it was at 38%, something like that. I posted this, made a video of this last week. So even when it's bad news, we are cashing in on it and capitalizing on these moves and these situations. And then then when the market popped up yesterday, we actually put on a long trade, and that one was up. It was up 100%. Now it's probably around 70% because the market kind of pulled back a little bit this morning. And so we're loaded long and all that kind of stuff. We've been long Tesla through TSLL. They had earnings. It's kind of debatable if the earnings are what pushed it up or if it's just the overall market that pushed it up. We know that Tesla had very bad earnings because of, well, just everything that's going on with them, right? I think one of the other pieces of information that came out from the Tesla earning call was that Elon is going to be spending less time with Doge, and he's going to be coming back and spending more time with Tesla. And then also Tesla, less about the cars, more about the less about the cars, more about the robots. And so I think that's going to be a big thing with Tesla going forward, is all the robots and AI. All right. So David Leeper, I wanted to let you know that I think you put on a call credit spread this morning. That should be working out beautifully for you. That is one of the things that we pointed out and discussed this morning, was that when the market jumped up, it went right into the hourly 200, which is going to be kind of a natural area of resistance. And that was also, if I could draw this straight, pretty much exactly. Let me see if I can actually get my cursor on here. There you go. It was about where the top of the 9th was. So when Trump came out and talked about the tariff pause. So there is a pretty good confluence of resistance up there. That being said, I'm not worried about this. This is actually, from a technical standpoint, exactly everything that I'm looking for and expecting. And this is good because I think that the market generally is on its way higher, and this will give us time to keep getting into positions. So we have been navigating this market. We got long the morning of the 9th before Trump came out with his 90-day tariff pause. We put on a put credit spread, and in the money put credit spread. So I had a pretty fat premium on that one. We exited that one right there, and then we went short the market with a call credit spread, exited that one, and then we got back into the market yesterday with a pretty aggressive long trade, and so far that's working out now nicely. So as I said, we have Tesla going. We've got a bunch of things. We're short GDX, because gold is coming down. That one is working out well. Took a couple extra days than I expected, but it's been working out. And from this point, the fact that the market is actually a little bit soft today after this jump up, I'm happy about that. Maybe even if we get some softness into tomorrow, let's say today's Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, we'll have to see. But I'm going to be looking at this and basically saying that I believe dips are going to be buyable. Now, again, expect some craziness out there, because this is all news driven, isn't it? We know that the market pulled back 20%. We know that this was kind of a self-inflicted dip 20% correction, whatever you want to call it. And now that it seems as though the administration is kind of walking back on some stuff, I do think that's going to allow the market to breathe and do what it wants to do, which is basically buy the dip. And we'll see if we can start coming up there. Now, the other thing that I've been trying to make abundantly clear to my subscribers and traders and people around me is that we don't know what the next step is. And again, lots of news out there. So while I do think that the market's going to be moving up, and I know that there's been a lot of influencers out there and a lot of YouTubers and stuff, it's like buy the dip. And it's like, that might be true. And maybe it's true for like Palantir and Hood and Crowdstrike and Reddit and some of these things. But we just need to have the caveat and the understanding that while the market is down like this, we don't know if this is the absolute low. We don't know what kind of volatility there's going to be. And we don't know if the market is actually going to go lower after it goes up. Okay. Anything is possible. Anything is on the table. And, we just need to understand, because even if we look at things like Hood, which, for the most part, doing pretty well, actually. This is what we've been looking at. We're in things like Reddit. We're in OKLO. So we've been buying some individual stocks as well. And it, it really is kind of right back into an area like that. We do have earnings. Those are always a crapshoot. Never quite know what's going to happen. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? As some of I think it was David mentioned that a lot of companies right now are not going to be doing any, they're just removing some stats, because with the tariffs and the markets, all this kind of stuff, they don't know what kind of guidance they can give. So they're going to be pulling some data from their earnings reports, and we may not know. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we're going to have to see how the market is going to start reacting to these things. But that's the thing. I think the upcoming earnings could be, kind of who knows? How's the market going to react to it? And that being said, we do also have to understand things like Hood. We are underneath a downtrending daily 50. So this is why I'm saying that, maybe this is buy the dip, and maybe this is the lowest it's ever going to be, and this was the buy the dip of the century, and everything's rosy and sunshine, and we go up like that. Totally a possibility, but we just don't know yet, because we still are not confirmed on anything. Things. I mean, this is not a confirmed bull market when prices are underneath a downtrending daily 50 and we have the Moxie indicator below zero. So what I've been trying to say is we need to take these trades kind of piece by piece. I'm pretty good at figuring out, price is going to go here and then here and then here. We have been navigating this market quite well. On the downside, getting some pops, and then the whole bottoming pattern that we have been experiencing the last, at least 3 weeks. And so I do think we're going to be moving up. I think we can catch names like this. They could have good moves, but I think we're still not confirmed for swing long, and or even longer term long. So I think we're still going to need a little bit more time to really confirm that, and we'll just kind of have to see how that goes. I think it really is, as we all know, going to be dependent on kind of what the administration's doing with tariffs and negotiations with countries around there, and we're going to have to see how that all plays out. Okay, because some of these stocks have really gotten wrecked to where it is hard to see the light, and trying to figure out which ones are being affected the most by tariffs versus others. But things like Hood looking kind of interesting. Crowdstrike, kind of held up pretty well. In fact, you can see kind of a double bottom situation through there. But again, we're right here at the underside of a downtrending daily 50. We'll have to see if these can continue to push up, and then if they push up, if at some point, if they can re-engage with these moving averages. I mean, if we look over here on these higher time frames, some of them definitely look better than others, and I would say Crowdstrike is a good candidate. It's a good possibility. This could end up being a good buy the dip situation if the market can kind of find its footing and keep kind of working on things, and maybe if some good news comes out of the administration. Okay. But other ones, this kind of talk about the Nancy Pelosi book. Let's look at TEM. This is another one that we haven't really talked about yet. Great day today, right? That's why we went long on the market yesterday. That's why we've been loading up on the market for the last week. Okay, we have been bullish on this market, and you can see here, it still hasn't really gone anyplace. Now, maybe that's actually good news, because you're still really very much in this level, and so maybe the floor is in. Maybe it's not going to go lower, and we can kind of work with that. But if we come back over here and we look at the bigger picture, we are still very much under a downtrending daily 50. So there's still some work. If anybody out there on this interwebs, YouTube, Facebook, X, if you guys are looking at today and be like, oh my gosh, I missed the boat, this was the dip, I think that there's still going to be plenty of time. The market usually doesn't go straight up. And I think since there's still a lot of uncertainty and kind of the wall of worry, and we really could have any kind of news coming out of left field from the administration and China and negotiations and stuff like that, I think that there will still be plenty of opportunities to get into these positions and these names if you think that the market is going to generally keep moving up, or if the low is in full stop for the market. Okay, so just because there's a big up move like this, I mean, same thing. If I remember people were talking about buy the dip back here, and yes, it was a dip, but it wasn't the dip, and that's really what we're trying to figure out: is this the dip? Is this it? Is everything behind us? We don't know yet, but that's why I was like, be careful. And when you saw something like this, I actually shorted this on my own account. I was testing some things with calls and puts and stuff. I wanted to see how they behaved, and so I actually shorted that, and it worked out nicely. But that's what I mean is if you see something like this, don't panic. These are not, those are not the kind of moves that you want to chase into. Same thing here. We have a nice move today, started yesterday. That's why we went long in the market. I'm sure there will be another opportunity to get into this. Maybe at the same price, maybe a little bit lower. We'll have to see, but give it a few more days, and I think there's still going to be an opportunity. And so if this market is in fact going to go higher, there will be time to get in. I don't think this market is just going to absolutely run away from us. We look at other things like, heck, we were in Bitcoin via BitX. We got into this thing on Thursday. And you can see that this Bitcoin through BitX, we got in right here on Thursday. And it was interesting to see that Bitcoin was actually kind of leading the way, that it was up on Monday when the market was down. It's like, oh, risk on. Is this telling us something? And maybe it has something to do with the dollar and gold and some other things like that. But I do still view Bitcoin as basically a risk on asset, and it's going to trade with the market is how I see it. And so the fact that it was actually going up when the market was down, I think was giving us a little bit of clue as to what was going to be going on. And so we were still staying long on the market, even through the pullback on Monday. So that being said, I'm trying to see if Bitcoin is going to, or BitX is going to come up here. So Bitcoin, I think that's around maybe 100,000. We'll have to see if Bitcoin can get up to 100,000. I think maybe 90,000 could be pretty easy. And then at some point there will be a pullback. And that's what I'm saying. There are going to be multiple moves in this area if the market is going to be ready to go higher. It's not just going to be one move, then you'll never get back in. There will be lots of moves. Even like this one. Before Bitcoin really took off, look at how many opportunities that there were to get in on that. I mean, there were multiple dips before it really took off. So, again, for those of you out there and kind of feeling some FOMO today, number one, you should come over to the Moxie room, simplertrading.com/Moxie, because we have been loading up on this market yesterday, Thursday, and then last week we've just been trading it, and we got in on the 9th before Trump came out with the tariff news, the tariff pause news. So number one, if you're feeling FOMO, come on into the room, check it out. And then number two, just realize that there will be more opportunities to get in. Okay, if this thing's going to get going, we're just beginning. We're really just beginning. So yeah, don't feel too bad about it. Reddit was another one. And I should have added back into it. I was trying to see if we could finesse this a little bit, but basically we're in from here and we're up here now, and that's doing pretty well. So I'm going to be a little bit patient. And again, I'm seeing if there's going to be another opportunity to get into this. And what I would be looking for is actually the leveraged ETF of Reddit. So I've been looking around and finding that there are more and more single stock leveraged ETFs, which is fantastic for me. It's kind of like the world is opening up as my oyster for me, being primarily a stock trader as far as my bigger, longer term accounts. And so I love the fact that they have now all these leveraged ETFs. So if you look at Reddit, I think it's RDTL. And yeah, you can see, let's see, basically from, let's see, even just around here and up here, I mean, it's up 30%. That's amazing for stock trading. 30% in just a couple days. That's amazing. So very, very excited to see leveraged ETFs for these things. And as most of you guys know, we've been trading TSLL, and that one's doing pretty well. I did decide to hold it through earnings, and that's paying off. So that's nice. But yeah, you can see we've been trading this thing from here to here. We got out here, and then I think we added back in here, and now here we are. So we've just been all over this thing, trading it quite nicely. Well, let's see. What kind of move did this thing even have? Bad earnings. Yeah, look at that, 14%. And that's a tiny move. I mean, you look at this, you can barely see the movement, and yet that's 14%. And so if this thing, let's just say from kind of the lows to, I think most people are thinking 300 for Tesla is probably going to be about there. That's 82% for stock. So I am loving these leveraged ETFs as new opportunities for me as a stock trader to be trading. I mean, 82%. I mean, you're getting into options territory for that kind of stuff, really. So I'm super thrilled about it. Anyway, there's that. Hood has some, even the ETFs we're trading FNGA, these kind of things. You can see we've just been marking these charts up like crazy. So they've been doing pretty well. And again, I think that the market's kind of pulling back a little bit today. I'm totally fine with that. Let me show you guys a little bit lower down, see what that looks like. If we look at SPX, we know that the market came right up into resistance today. And for those in the Moxie room, I said, hey, we're either going to pull back today, for whatever reason. Maybe Tesla did have bad earnings, but there was news that came out that kind of changed that. And so either we were going to pull back today, and then maybe we see if we go up, or we go up and then we pull back later. And I think it's option B. Basically, we jump up first, and then we pull back later, and then I think we start looking higher. So, once again, I'm going to be wrapping up here, guys. And David, since I know we were talking about the call credit spread and all that kind of stuff, notice the chain of events here on the 2-minute that I described to you guys this morning. I said, hey, if the market's going to go down, what are we expecting? Moxie price trigger, cross of the moving averages, failure of the moving average, and then we want to see that keep working its way up the food chain as we go from the 2-minute to the 5-minute to the 15 minutes. And yeah, so for today, it's been working out. So I'm looking for kind of the bigger fish to fry. I want to get more into these pullbacks on a longer term basis. And that's what I'm looking for. So I'm actually quite happy that the market isn't totally running away from us today. And that just means we're going to have more and more opportunities to get into this market and do well with it. All right. So once again, if you guys are feeling FOMO out there on the interwebs, I see a bunch of eyeballs out there. So come on over, simplertrading.com/Moxie. And then that way you guys can start riding this, because I think we're going to be having a good few weeks. That's at least what I'm looking for. So fingers crossed. Let's see if it works out. Let's see if the administration plays nice and keeps putting out some cooing sounds to the market to kind of get it to come back up. So let's see what we can do about that. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for your time. And for those of you in the Moxie room, I'll be back into the chat room from here. And if you have any questions,